The story is about a 1977 talk show that turns terrifying when a host invites supernatural forces on air.
Please welcome Dr. June Ross Mitchell and Lily, the young subject of the book, Conversations with the Devil.
Good to see you again, Jack.
Lily, return to me.
A guy named Jack Delroy introduces the film. He conducts a popular late-night chat program called Night Owls, which competes with The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson for viewers. Jack keeps up frequent trips to The Grove, a prestigious California summer camp reserved for influential men, thanks to his television contacts. Jack's life completely collapses in 1976 when he learns that his non-smoking wife, Madeline, has terminal lung cancer. She had a special appearance on his show in October, which results in the highest-rated Night Owls episode ever. However, it is still somewhat behind Carson's ratings. 2 weeks later, Madeline passes away, profoundly impacting Jack and leading to a temporary halt in Night Owls production. Although Jack eventually returns, the show never regains its previous success. Desperate to boost the show's ratings, Jack chooses to host a special Halloween 1977 occult-themed program from the Manhattan studio. Here's the previously undisclosed behind-the-scenes video and the freshly found master recording of that evening's show. The program features special guests, including psychic Christou, parapsychologist and author June Ross Mitchell, skeptical former magician Carmichael the Conjurer, and June's subject, Lily. Christou states that she heard the name Peterson during the transmission. One of the audience men corrects him, calling him Peterman. Intrigued, Jack approaches the man, who explains that Peterman was his wife's maiden name. Christou asserts that his wife's spirit is currently in the room. However, the man reveals that his wife is alive and ran off with his neighbor 5 years ago. Christou instantly regains his composure and explains that the studio lights and cameras occasionally cause his signals to get distorted. Who is connected to Edward? He wonders as he approaches two ladies, to which one replies Edmund was the name of her little brother. The girl verifies that Edmund committed suicide when Christou, a little strange but yet self-assured, asks. Through Christou, Edmund sends a message saying he is at peace and apologizes for the pain he caused her and their mother. Jack declares that they are going to take a brief break while he and the crowd commend Christou's works. But Christou starts screaming out of nowhere, turning into a whole different person. He claims that something intense is happening and that he now clearly hears the name Minnie. Jack asks if the name Minnie means anything to anyone in the studio, but no one recognizes it. Christou feels sadness and specifies that the spirit wants to talk to an unmarried man with a wedding ring. Christou, gathering her composure, declares that Minnie's soul has departed the room as the lights flicker, stirring up a commotion among the audience. Jack brings Carmichael onto the stage following the commercial break. Carmichael enters and immediately captivates the crowd with an amazing trick that wins them over. Carmichael says he's skeptical of psychics and the paranormal, but he really thinks there are scientific reasons for everything. He said he will not stop calling these people out as scammers until he receives irrefutable evidence. In addition, he offers a $100,000 incentive to anyone whose statements can be independently confirmed. Jack prompts Carmichael to offer his interpretation of Christou's readings, to which Carmichael responds by asserting that what he witnessed was a skilled performer employing age-old tricks, with roots tracing back to biblical times. He says he believes Christou tried several times before making the flimsy link with Peterson. Carmichael brushes off Jack's comment about Christou's purported contact with Edmund's ghost, saying that even a misaligned clock is correct twice a day. Enraged, Christou gets up to fling water in Carmichael's face and tries to get off the stage. They haven't yet talked about the last reading, so Jack steps in and asks Christou to come back. Jack says he thinks he could have been the one meant for the previous reading. Christou asks Jack who Minnie is, to which Jack reveals that Minnie is the nickname he gave to his late wife Madeline, and he is the unmarried man wearing a wedding ring. Remaining skeptical, Carmichael challenges Christou to call upon the ghost of Jack's late wife in exchange for a $50,000 prize. But to everyone's surprise in the studio, Christou passes out and spews a black liquid out upon Carmichael. Backstage film shows Christou's rapidly declining health and his hasty transfer to his dressing room for treatment. Carmichael, meantime, voices his misgivings, speculating that Jack could have told Christou about his wife's moniker in order to increase the show's viewership. Jack alerts the public and spectators that Christou is presently undergoing medical treatment backstage during the commercial break. He then presents to the audience a book titled Conversation with the Devil by Dr. June Ross Mitchell. Jack proceeds to share a clip produced by June's Psi Research Center. In the video, viewers see a seemingly ordinary house that doubles as the base for the infamous First Church of Abraxas. Prophet Abraxas demands sacrifices and transcends conceptions of good and evil, focused solely on desire and gain, according to the church's mysterious head, Xander Dabo. Amidst disturbing claims of raising youngsters for human sacrifice, the FBI is looking into the cult for suspected crimes, including abduction and illegal firearm ownership. Dabo argues that seeing these rites forces a person to serve the demonic Abraxas. In August 1974, after a standoff, officials find a terrified 10-year-old girl named Lily in the burning ruins. As Dabo's troops set everything on fire, Lily's memories are fragmented, and the FBI seeks June's help to understand her strange behavior. In their first session, Lily screams in a demonic voice after asking if she's speaking with the demon. During a commercial break, June warns Jack about Lily's fugue state and the dangers of invoking the demon, while Leo later informs Jack that Christou died from internal hemorrhaging. After the break, Jack questions June about the work of parapsychologists. They research some psi phenomena, she says, that are difficult for conventional science to understand. Her goal has been to reveal the specifics of Lily's life and the nature of the monster inside her over the past 3 years by fusing age regression treatment with a growing knowledge of old satanic rituals. June replies that she thinks this demon is more akin to one of the lesser deities rumored to serve Abraxas when Jack asks whether this demon is Abraxas. Jack is informed by Lily about the inner devil she calls Mr. Wriggles since he squirms into and out of her thoughts. She explains that June says everyone has a demon inside them, but they can't always control them. The studio starts shaking, and Carmichael blames feedback from the speaker cable. Lily says Mr. Wriggles caused it, but June says summoning requires a controlled environment and cannot be done on the show. However, when Jack and the audience persist, June reluctantly agrees to a brief demonstration if Jack's crew and audience fully cooperate. During the break, Jack urges June to prove Carmichael wrong, dismisses Gus's warnings, and insists on conjuring Satan to save their show despite Gus's pleas to stop. After the break, June addresses the viewers, cautioning that if the entity is present tonight, it may manifest itself in various ways, but its entry into their world is only possible through Lily. Never lose your composure, she exhorts everyone, regardless of what they see or hear. Lily is then given the all-ahead to close her eyes and go to sleep by June. Not too long afterward, Lily nods off, but when June tries to talk to Mr. Wriggles, Lily begins acting strangely, wildly shifting her chair. Lily eventually informs June that she is aware of his identity in a demon-like voice. Everyone sees that Lily has taken on a spirit as she lifts her head. Afterwards, she turns to face the crowd and queries their identity. June makes an attempt to make sense of the reason they brought him into this world for. However, the entity looks at Jack and remarks that it's good to see him again. Confused, Jack denies being acquainted with the entity, to which the demon claims they have a long history and have met among the tall trees. June asks Lily to return to her, to which the demon asks her to be careful, saying Jack's last wife died an ugly death. It says that Dr. June thinks Jack is very handsome and reveals that June and Jack are sleeping together. June smacks Lily angrily in an attempt to get her back, but the demon then tries to attack June. The demon laughs and repeats June's remarks, prompting her to perform a spell that appears to be a charm. The demon then turns to face Jack and asks how he could have allowed it to happen. Subsequently, peculiar occurrences occur in the studio, and Lily momentarily hovers on her seat before returning to the ground. Jack asks the audience if they've seen anything similar as June apologizes to her for placing her in that situation. Jack assures Carmichael he'll get his chance to speak, but wants to discuss June's strategies first. During the break, Leo informs Jack of crew walkouts, and an emergency meeting is scheduled, making it a major TV event. When they go back to life, Carmichael says Lily has been put under a hypnotic trance and coerced by the doctor to play her part, not that there is a monster inside of her. Jack presses Carmichael, asking him to explain the vocal and physical alterations. Carmichael, he claims, is a cold-blooded, self-righteous curmudgeon who is trying to keep himself from giving up $500,000. Carmichael asks Gus to volunteer, then shows a watch and tells everyone to focus on it. After a moment, Carmichael clicks a button and prompts Gus to share his fear of worms, to which Gus responds with disdain. Carmichael insists that Gus is now deeply hypnotized, although Gus denies realizing it. Not one to back down, Carmichael commands Gus to follow his every move with a flick of his fingers. As Carmichael's directive takes effect, Gus wriggles uncomfortably and complains of itching and pain. Gus then decides to inspect his neck when Carmichael implies that it is bleeding. Gus is horrified to find what look like worms coming out of his neck. Gus sobs in fear, saying he can feel worms crawling inside of him. The sudden change of events shocks the audience and Jack, and Carmichael fails to rouse Gus from his hypnotism. Lily laughs and asks why Gus is acting so silly, and then a huge worm bursts out of Gus's eye. Carmichael successfully snaps everyone out of the hypnotism, and Gus doesn't remember anything. Jack is shocked and asks Carmichael what happened. He replies that he did exactly what June did, just a little more creatively. When Jack asks Leo to reverse the videotape to see the last scene, it reveals that everyone in the studio was only experiencing a hallucination during Carmichael's presentation. Lily advises that they might want to go over that segment of the program again if Carmichael thinks they were tricking everyone. When they watch the recorded replay, they are shocked to see that the paranormal activities that took place during June's conjuring have not changed. Jack instructs the team to rewind the footage and play it slowly, frame by frame, and he is horrified when he notices an apparition of a spiritual Madeline standing behind him in the footage. Lily becomes possessed once more and electricity begins to run all over her body, while Carmichael furiously accuses Jack of planning the events as a complex deception. When Jack touches her, the studio's lights start to flicker and eventually go out. Shortly after, a lightning bolt from the above ceiling links to her left hand, while another from the adjacent monitor joins to her right. Lily screams as her head bursts open, revealing a brilliant light within. She quickly uses her telekinetic abilities to murder Gus by pulling his head back, raise June into the air and toss Jack out of the way, chop June's neck open with her pendant necklace, and burn Carmichael from the inside out. Jack tries to flee but finds himself suddenly transported to a nightmarish version of the show. After that, he finds himself on stage and inadvertently joins a performance. Later, he returns to his own show when a visitor gives him a massive worm. Abruptly, Minnie emerges and utters the same lines she did at her final performance with Jack. As a consequence of his show's rapid popularity, Jack was indirectly to blame for Madeline's cancer diagnosis. It is now revealed that he had previously faced the demon that had possessed Lily at the Grove ritual. With the malignancy causing excruciating anguish, Madeline's ghost approaches Jack and begs him to stop her suffering. Jack stabs Lily with a ritual dagger, and the scene shifts to him horrified in an empty studio. Jack stands over the lifeless bodies of his guests with police sirens approaching. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe for more. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you next time.